Please comment once. People, they are coming and we can resume. All right, so I was saying it's police are. And it's not police. Hindi में बोलते police, it's police. Police, okay? Police are coming. Okay, great. The next one. Identify the appropriate meaning for the given root word. Root word is rhino, as in rhinoceros. Huge, fire, wisdom, nose. Lavanya, Naveen, and Gaurav, did you know the answer or you actually made a calculated guess? Janvi, Tamanna, Rutika. Gaurav, like in rhinitis. Yes. A very easy question, I must say. Rhino or RHIN rhine is basically nose. Rhinoceros has this thing. I think all of you must have seen rhinoceros, at least in pictures. Okay, do you remember any kind of mythical animal which has the same kind of horn? Guess from rhinoplasty. Oh, nice. Rhinovirus. A mythical animal which has only a single horn. Which one is that? Coming to question 10. There are 4 sentences A, B, C, D where the underlined word is used either correctly or incorrectly. Choose the option which lists all the sentences where the underlined words is used correctly in a sentence. The word is forbear, 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 forbear. Yes, it's unicorn. Good. Alright, so I have underlined the word and you tell me that where it has been used correctly. Lavanya, what is that? A, B, C, option A. What do you mean by that? Okay, let us understand what is the meaning of the word forbear. So, forbear means to refrain, to not do something, to refrain from something. That is forbear. So, if you look at, if you read all these statements, forbear has been wrongly used in statement D. A strong race of forbears. So, forbear is something which, to refrain from doing something. Could not forbear. It's a verb. Forbear to say something, again a verb. Forbear to judge, again a verb. Here it looks like a noun. Forbear is an action. It's not a noun. It's not a thing. So D is wrong. Therefore, we'll go with A, B, and C. Option A. Next one. Cool. So if you know the meaning, we'll mark it right. Even if you don't know the meaning, how many of you did not know the meaning but still marked it correct? Because as I said, it is used as verb in 3 options, but as a noun in 1 option. So automatically, because looking at the options, you can actually make a calculated guess. Everybody is going to do it correctly. Yeah, right. Sunita's excellence in athletics yielded rich dividends as she got a scholarship. Great. Rich money makes no sense. Rich appreciation makes no sense. Sunita's won in, again, Sunita's win can make sense, but one cannot. Rich appointment makes no sense. So B is the most appropriate answer over here. Okay, Janvi. Here comes the next one. In dash of international matters, there's always an element of risk. In dash, one might do. In case of international matters, there's always an element of risk in whatever one might do. If you look at other options, in fact, in spite a single word, you cannot be having 2 different, indifferent and spite different. It's not possible. So, B cannot be true. In many of international matters, there's always an element of risk in doing one might do. There's a wrong usage. In spite, again, so the same reason, these 3 cannot be the answers. Option A is what we'll go with. Now, I think all of you might be feeling some confidence that you can solve the English section, the verbal section, at least the VA section of IIFT with pretty much ease. Let us go to the RC now, which will be very much helpful for both IIFT and XAT, isn't it? But before that, let us do a parajumble. The terror of cat. But parajumble in these exams is actually easy. Look at this. We also have the options. Wow. प्रतीक्षा क्या वो आरसी में रो देंगे बस आने ही वाला है आरसी PJs are worst This one is easy because we have the options. If you look at the options, automatically we are sure of that it will be starting point will be A or B. Nothing else is possible. Now, if we read statement A and statement B, we understand that statement E is an extension of, like they are talking about cave paintings and all, and statement A is talking how finger positions are used. So, of course, the statement which will introduce the cave painting should be the first statement, which is coming out to be B, isn't it? So, automatically, first and last option get eliminated. Wow. काश कैट में भी ऐसा ही होता ऑप्शन रहते एनीवेज if we read B, since ancient times hands have been used in cave paintings, drawings, sculpture and fine art as symbols of communication. All right, as symbols of communication, hands have been used. बात किसकी हो रही है? हाथों की. तो इन दोनों के लिए we'll just read A and D and we won't be wasting much time in arranging everything. So let us read A first. Particular finger positions or gestures of the hand, it looks like that it should follow B, isn't it? Hands की बात यहाँ हो रही है. Common to their age and civilization, delivered a message that was instantly recognized by those who understand the symbolism. All right. And D, if you look at option C, so D says ancient Egyptian and Semitic art, for example, depicted celestial power by a hand painted in the sky. Well, in statement B, cave painting has been introduced, and they're talking about how hands were used. Option A, statement A talks about how hands were used. Like fingers were there and how fingers were used. Got it? So statement B introduces the concept and statement A extends the concept. Here we know hands are being used. Here we know that how hands are being used. That is why BADC would be most suitable and appropriate option. BDAC would be wrong. A lot of you have marked BDAC. Moreover, see here, they talk about symbolism. Statement A ends with symbolism. What is the symbolism? Symbolism is a hand painted in sky, isn't it? This is the symbolism. You won't actually see a hand in the sky. This is basically a symbolism. So statement A ends at symbolism, and symbolism has been mentioned in statement D. So BADC makes more sense, makes the perfect sense, isn't it? Is that understood, everyone? I hope it is. Cool. Coming to the next question. From the options given below, identify sentences with correct usage of underlined. Okay. We missed the underlines, it's not even required. Just look at this correct usage. Where has it been done? Drinking and driving is a crime. One or the other of you have to compromise. Neither the gloves nor the scarf need washing. Each invoice and purchase order has to be approved by the manager. Which one do you think should be correct answer? Drinking and driving is a crime. Okay. One or the other of you have to compromise. Neither the gloves nor the scarf need washing. Each invoice and purchase order has to be approved by the manager. Hmm. Well, when we say drinking and driving, drink and drive, drinking and driving, there basically there's a phrase and it is a singular phrase. Okay, it's a singular phrase. So option A, in option A, this has been used correctly. We look at option B, it says one or the other of you have to compromise. When we say one or the other, that means we'll take both the persons individually, one by one. So when one person we are considering a singular person, then this should be has not have. That is why B cannot be wrong. B cannot be correct. Neither the gloves nor the scarf need washing. Here also, again the same thing which happened with B. So when we use neither and nor, we are taking it considering singularly. That is why this verb should be having S. The verb should be having S, the singular verb. That is why C cannot be correct. D, each invoice and purchase order has to be approved. It is same as A. So A and D are correct. Option C is the correct answer. I think all of you have done the same thing. Well done. Cool. Here comes your favorite RC passage. I think there's no lag now. Well, read the passage. I'm giving you 5 minutes, but in the real exam, do not take more than 3 minutes. Just read it. A bit. Just a minute. But I think a laptop would be a better option there. Just try to increase the font size once. iQuanta logo is written, where you might find some problem. Once you reach the last paragraph, just tell me, I will do it again. Please tell me once in the even the last para. The contrasting styles of communication represented by the managers from Spain and say Japan, that means for example Japan, are often referred to as low context and high context respectively. So Spain is low context and Japan is high context. Now so these are two kind of communication, they are contrasting in nature, and this is where in the next line the author will try to make you understand that what does that mean. In order to understand the implications, suppose you are having a discussion with Sally, a business colleague, and you both come from a culture that prefers low context communication. All right. People from such cultures are conditioned from childhood to assume a low level of shared context. That is, few shared reference points and comparatively little implicit knowledge linking speaker and listener. Under these circumstances, it's highly likely that while speaking with Sally, you will explicitly spell out your ideas, providing all the background knowledge and details necessary to understand your message. So, now tell me, have you understood this part of the passage? What does this mean? In low context, so people kind of assume that these guys would not be having a shared knowledge base. So like we Indians, when we talk, I talk to you, and even we talk to our friends, we kind of assume that there is some kind of shared knowledge, that is something which everybody knows, isn't it? So we won't be explaining that much to him or her, isn't it? But in the low context communication, so it's kind of very much possible that people would keep on explaining everything because they feel that there are very few common shared points. Is that understood? So it's such a nice, I would say, a nice passage which increases your knowledge. Such an interesting passage. The US is the lowest context culture in the world, followed by Canada and Australia, the Netherlands and Germany and the United Kingdom. Now the passage doesn't talk about this, what I'm going to say right now. There's something which my opinion, I'll just give my opinion. And okay, let me ask you, why do you think that US would be the lowest context culture? The communication in US would be lowest context. Like when I read this, something comes to my mind. So if I want you to make a calculated guess, what do you think would be the right reason? Can the reason be that people in US are not, closely associated? They do not live in families. Naveen says education level is low. Naveen, education would be having some impact on communication, but communication can be done without education as well, isn't it? People can talk. They don't need to educate themselves. What I feel that because in US, people are kind of very much, they're kind of loners. They do not have a concept of a proper living with the family, So when you don't live around with people, then what happens? You won't be understanding that they have some kind of common shared knowledge, some common kind of base, isn't it? In India, what happens? We keep on barging in other privacies. There's no personal life. People intrude your personal life. You intrude their personal lives. We live together in closed communities. We are highly populous. So in that case, because we communicate a lot throughout our lives, that is why we feel that we have a lot of, we assume that there's a lot of things that we already share with each other, isn't it? So that is what my belief is. I'm not really sure. So just that I want to talk to you guys, and what do you think? Kind of critical reasoning, I would say. Okay, so though cultural norms are transmitted from one generation to the next through means that are generally indirect and subliminal, you may remember receiving some deliberate lessons concerning appropriate ways to communicate. है ना, बचपन में सीखा होगा, माँ बाप, सोसाइटी, भाई बहन, बड़े, सबने सिखाया है. I certainly, I certainly received such lessons as a child growing up in the United States. So the author here is a US person. My third grade teacher, Mary Jane, there's no comma here, Mary Jane. Now I know a lot of you might be having some imagination about Mary Jane for some very obvious reasons. Isn't it? Mary Jane, a tall, thin woman with tightly curled hair, used to coach us during our Monday morning circle meetings using the motto, say what you mean and mean what you say. Wow. When I was 16, I took an elective class at Minneapolis South High School on effective presentations. This is where I learned the traditional American rule for fully transferring a powerful message to an audience. Tell them what you are going to tell them. Then tell them what you have told them. This is the philosopher of low context. This is basically philosophy of low context communication in a nutshell. Okay? The communication technique to help people quickly identify and correct misunderstanding, thereby reducing, if not eliminating, one common cause of needless, pointless debate. Childhood lessons like these imbued me with the assumption that being explicit is communication. But as Takaki explained, good communication in a high Japan is very different. In Japan, as in India, China, and many other countries, people learn a very different style of communication as children, one that depends on unconscious assumptions about common reference points, as I was discussing, and shared knowledge. For example, let's say that you and a business colleague named Mariam both come from a high context culture like Iran. All right. Imagine that Mariam has traveled to your home for a visit and arrived via late evening train at 10 p.m. If you ask Mariam whether she would like to eat something before going to bed, when Mariam responds with a polite no, thank you, your response will be to ask her 2 more times. Only she responds no, thank you 3 times. Will you accept no as a real answer? In a high context culture like Iran, it's not necessary. Indeed, it's often inappropriate certain messages too explicitly. If Mariam, so basically we won't be that explicit because we think we have some kind of common understanding. If Mariam replied to your first offer of please serve me a big portion of whatever you have because I'm dying of, response would be considered inelegant and perhaps quite rude. Shared assumptions learned from childhood make such bluntness. You and Mariam both know that no thank you likely means please because I am famished. If you are from a low context culture, you may perceive a high context secretive, lacking communicator. High context secretive, lacking communicator. This is by mistake. Lacking transparency or unable to communicate effectively. On the other hand, if you are a high context culture, you might perceive a low context communicator as inappropriately stating the obvious and or even as condescending, patronizing. All right. When I had first arrived at my hotel in New Delhi, I was hot and more important, hungry. Although I would have spent that week conducting classes for a group of Indian executives at the swank 5-star Oberoi Hotel, the Indian Business School hosting me put me up in a more modest and much smaller residence several miles away. Staying in a simple hotel just steps up from the bustle of workday New Delhi, I thought I would make it much easier for me to get the flavor of the city. Okay, what is the tone of the passage? Anyone? I asked flavor of the city. Flavor of the city. Lunch was at the top of my agenda. The very friendly young man behind the concierge desk jumped to attention when he saw me approaching. I asked about a good place to eat. There is a great restaurant just to the left of the hotel. I recommend it highly. He told me. It is called Swagat. You can't miss it. It sounded perfect. I walked out to the road and looked to the left. The street was a whirlwind of colors, smells, and activities. Okay, If you guys have been to Delhi NCR, in Delhi, anyone, and you have talked to foreigners who have come, so they are kind of, very much surprised and amused by the kind of color that, we are basically colorful people. We even in decoration we use a lot of colors. So India is never bland. A lot of colors are there, even in the color, as in colors in the street paintings, the colors that you wear, and the personality that we have, we are kind of very much colorful. Smells, because there's a lot of street food, a lot of varieties are there of meals and activities, of course, because a lot of people are there, so a lot of activities will, of course, be there. People are saying descriptive. No, it's narrative. It's not descriptive. It's narrative, because this person, it's used in first person. I, वो अपनी कहानी बता रहे हैं. I saw a grocery store, a cloth vendor, a family of 5, all piled onto one motor scooter, and a bunch of brown speckled in the dust next to the sidewalk. No restaurant. You didn't find it? The kind concierge asked in a puzzled tone as I re-entered the hotel. This time, the young man explained, just walk out of the street hotel, cross the street, walk out of the hotel, cross the street, and the restaurant will be on your left. It's next to the market. There's thing you can't miss it. Some problem is there. You can't miss it, he said again. Remembering my confusing encounter with the concierge in New Delhi, if I had been an Indian from Delhi with the shared cultural understanding, let me just do this. All right. Yes, now it is visible. Remembering my confusing encounter with the concierge in New Delhi, if I had been an Indian from Delhi with the shared cultural understanding of how to interpret implicit messages, I would have been better able to interpret the concierge's directions. Lacking those assumptions left me bewildered and unable to find my way to the restaurant. All right, so this kind of happens. We say, okay, I'll just give an example. When people talk to you and they say, okay, how would you do it? What do you say? And normally, अरे हो जाएगा, यहाँ जाएंगे, ये हो जाएगा. So basically, we don't explain a lot. We are the people who assume that other people know things, so no need to explain. But in US, in Western culture, people actually explain things. And this reminds me of a scene from the series Mirzapur, when Pankaj Tripathi asks his son, what have you planned? So what does he say? He says, सोचे हैं पर immediate नहीं सोचे हैं. So that is the kind of communication that we Indians have, right? And that is why it's very difficult to be a teacher when you are an Indian. Because at my position, I cannot assume that you guys know things. If I assume that, then the class would be boring. Do you agree to that? All right, so let us go to the questions. Here comes the first question. According to the author, low context communication cultures, A, can be characterized as indirect in nature, B, can be characterized as not speaking to the point, C, are characterized by the use of overt messages, D, are characterized by the use of covert messages. What is overt? What is overt? Very open. Covert is hidden. And all of you have marked C, that is correct. Of course. बहुत ज़्यादा बोलना पड़ता है लो कॉन्टेक्स्ट कम्युनिकेशन में, बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव शेयर्ड नॉलेज बेस. वेल डन, सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. See, there's one thing about this passage when you compare it to cat, and that is the passage is huge, but the questions are pretty easy, isn't it? Once you read the passage, you will get the questions and you'll mark all of them correctly. Low context है तो बहुत ज़्यादा बोलना पड़ेगा, that is why it's overt messages. Good. The next question. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Yeah, shadow. Passage is easy. It's just that it's long. This is also a very easy question. Option B is correct. Low context communication is not based on as much shared knowledge as the low context communication. So when we kind of read the passage, this is something which we discussed. No need of explaining this. Cool. Direct questions are there. Coming to next one. Which of the following best explains you might perceive a low context communicator as inappropriately stating the obvious eighth para from the passage? Well, answer this and then I'll tell you a trivia. This question kind of rings a bell. Yes, option A. Perfect. You didn't have to say it. We all understood. Anybody is thinking of any example? Something like this. So, something is coming to my mind. For example, if you have watched the lectures of foreign professors, they kind of assume that people do not know anything. Just a minute, I have to explain this. Vaibhav, look at this. Which of the following best explains you might perceive a low context communicator as inappropriately stating the obvious from the passage? तुम वो बोल रहे हो जो obvious है, तो आप क्या बोलोगे? You didn't have to say it, we all understood. It's obvious, isn't it? So, that is why this is what you will perceive when someone is, kind of stating the obvious things. Right, Vaibhav, Avigyan. Okay, so you must have watched the foreign professors. When they explain something, they go towards the in-depth analysis, and so that is kind of nice. Teacher should do that. But in other cases, for example, I'll tell you, have you watched the movie Pulp Fiction? Anyone? Pulp Fiction? And while I write this, it comes to my mind that Pulp Fiction was written in yellow color. That is what I have done unintentionally. Pulp Fiction. Shubhendu, yes, that happens. Pulp Fiction. In Pulp Fiction, there is a scene. No, it was not Pulp Fiction. I just mixed two movies. I was talking about Kill Bill. In Kill Bill, what happens? There is a girl, a femme fatale. She kills a man with snake's venom. So she throws the snake on the man. Right? You know that? So, when the snake bites the person, at that time this lady starts explaining this snake is called as black mamba. It's called as black mamba because it has a black mouth from the inside. When it bites you, within 2 minutes you will die because your blood will clog. You know, so all that stuff happens. It has got the poison toxins which will clog your blood. In 2 minutes you will die. So there are a lot of stuff like that. When you see any kind of movie, any kind of web series in which some specific culture is there, so this is something which you kind of understand. And this is you understand that why are they explaining this much. We Indians, हम क्या बोलेंगे, अरे सांप ने काट लिया मर गया खत्म, दैट्स इट. एट मैक्स क्या बोल सकते हैं, बोलेंगे नहीं. सांप किसी फेंक दिया तो हम बताएंगे नहीं ना, हम बोलेंगे खत्म हो गया बस, ठीक है, सांप काटेगा मरेगा ही ऑफ कोर्स. इजंट इट? एट मैक्स वी विल से कि उसके मुंह से झाग निकल गया. एक्सप्लेन नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि वो खून, उसका ब्लड was kind of the blood coagulated. That is why only plasma remained, and that plasma he threw out from the mouth. We won't say that. We will say झाग निकल गया मर गया. Okay, so going to the next passage. Chalo, read this in 3 minutes. This is for you once. Yeah, passages are lengthy but straightforward. Crack this goddamn exam, IIFT. Please do that. Of course, the cosmic mystery doesn't help us at all in maintaining the social order. People often argue that we must believe in a God that gave some very concrete laws to humans. Well, where is it? It is where is it? Some very concrete laws to humans, or else morality will disappear and society will collapse into primeval chaos. It is certainly true that belief in gods was vital for various social orders and that sometimes had positive consequences. Indeed, the very same religions that inspire hate and bigotry in some people inspire love and compassion in others. Yet, though gods can inspire us to act compassionately, religious faith is not a necessary condition for moral behavior. The idea that we need a supernatural being to make us act morally assumes that there is something unnatural about morality. Isn't it? Such a nice question. But why? Morality of some kind is natural. All social mammals, from chimpanzees to rats, have ethical codes that limit things such as theft and murder. Wow. I want to share something with you guys. Very interesting topic. Do you know which animal murders apart from humans? Like humans are the ones who murder, isn't it? A lot of animals kill for food. That is one thing. It's like preying, but how which animal apart from humans actually murders? Any idea? That's a GK question. Who will tell me? What is murder? Killing someone from your own species. That is murder. Not for food, of course. Gaurav, well done. Chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are the ones who murder. Not lions. No, not bedia. It's chimpanzees only. They murder. And you know what? Like humans sometimes murder. Men basically murder over women. It happens. Mahabharata happened for the same reason. So did Ramayana. So did War of Troy. So three major wars in mythology, be it Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Troy in West, all of them happen because so a lot of people are murdered over one woman, isn't it? Draupadi, Sita, and Helen. Uh, chimpanzees also do that. So, for example, if you are one chimpanzee, other one is another chimpanzee, you are males and you live in different communities, different, let us, I could not call it villages, but different societies, different tribes. At that time, and let us say that you are trying, as a male chimp, you are trying to woo a female chimp from the other tribe. So, there is a possibility that there are a lot of male chimps in that tribe who want to date or woo basically, woo that female, and they will come to you and they will kill you. That happens. So we have John Wicks over there. Tamanna, Helen of Troy. She was Helen, isn't it? So chimpanzees. And one more question. Which animal apart from humans rapes? There's only one animal that does it. Among humans, morality is present in all societies. Even though not all of them believe in the same God or in any God, Christians act with charity even without believing in the Hindu pantheon. Well, the answer over there is dolphins. Dolphins are the ones who even rape. Janvi said it right. And do not just rape their own species, they can also do interspecies rapes. There are instances when a male dolphin has tried to rape a human female. All right, Hindu pantheon. What is pantheon? Pantheon is basically a group of gods. So, pan, uh, pantheism is practiced by certain religions, and those religions believe in concept of multiple gods, not just one god. For example, Hinduism. Muslims value honesty despite rejecting the divinity of Christ, and secular countries such as Denmark and the Czech Republic aren't more violent than some devout countries. Yeah, that's right. Morality doesn't seem following divine commands. It means reducing suffering. You just need to develop a deep appreciation of suffering. If you really understand how an action causes unnecessary suffering to yourself or to others, you will naturally abstain from it. Isn't it? I think we did a similar kind of RC passage in a CAT class. People nevertheless murder, rape, and steal because they have only a superficial appreciation of the misery this causes. They are fixated on satisfying their immediate lust or greed without concern for the impact on others or even for the long term impact on themselves. Even inquisitors who deliberately inflict as much pain as possible on their victim usually use various desensitizing and dehumanizing techniques in order to distance themselves from what they are doing. Many thinkers have constructed elaborate social theories explaining why, in the long run, such behavior is counterproductive. You would not like to live in a society where strangers are routinely robbed and murdered. Of course not. Not only would you be in constant danger, but you would lack the benefit of things like commerce, which depends on trust between strangers. Just 15 years ago, nobody was ready to go to Bihar and open any kind of industry. You know that? Because when you go there, you might get kidnapped. This was happening 15 years ago, but now it's all right. At that time, people were scared, corporates were scared. That is why still we don't have much companies and industries in Bihar. All right. Merchants don't usually visit den of thieves. That's how secular theoreticians from ancient China to modern Europe have justified the golden rule of don't do to others what you would not like to do them to do to you. Yet we do not really need such complex long-term theories to find a natural basis of universal compassion, isn't it? Like compassion though should be natural. You don't require theories for that. Forget about commerce for a moment. On a much more immediate level, hurting others always hurts me too. Every violent act in the world begins with a violent desire in somebody's mind, which disturbs that person's own peace and happiness before it disturbs the peace and happiness of anyone else. If you guys have ever thought of, seeking revenge from someone, first of all, your mind is the one which suffers. Thus, people seldom steal unless they first develop a lot of greed and envy in their minds. People don't usually murder unless they first generate anger and hatred. Emotions such as greed, envy, anger, and hatred are very unpleasant. You cannot experience joy and harmony when you are boiling with anger or envy. Hence, long before you murder anyone, your anger has already killed your own peace of mind. For some people, a strong belief in a compassionate God that commands us to turn the other cheek may help in curbing anger. That's been an enormous contribution, religious belief to people and to peace and harmony of the world. Unfortunately for other people, religious belief actually stokes and justifies their anger, especially if someone dares to insult their God or ignore his wishes. These things also happen in the name of religion. Unfortunately, so the value of the God lawgiver ultimately depends on the behavior of his devotees. If they act well, they can believe anything they like. Similarly, the value of religious rites, what is rites? Riti Rivas and sacred places depends on the type of feelings and behaviors they inspire. If visiting a temple makes people experience peace and harmony, that's wonderful. But if a particular sacred place causes violence and conflicts, what do we need it for? It is clearly dysfunctional. Not visiting any place of worship and not believing in any god is also a viable option. Like me, I do not go anywhere. As the last few centuries have proved, we don't need to invoke God's name in order to live a moral life. Secularism can provide us with all the values we need. So basically, this passage is all about that secularism is something which is required, because that ways we will kind be will be, in a way, will be reducing the probability of um, any kind of crime, so specifically when they originate from religion. All right. Vaibhav says, isn't it certain for every beautiful thing to be twisted or tainted? Vaibhav, I don't know. I don't really know. Because in that case, a lot of people come to my mind. All right. So we are done with the passage. It's such a nice passage. And let us solve the questions now. There was a sentence, temple makes people experience peace and harmony. So there is this ashram, Baba Neem Karori ashram in near Nainital. If you visit that place, you would feel that entire place, all the trees and all the animals over there are somehow they are high. They are so joyous, they are so happy, like you know so once I visited there, and there was this bridge which I we have to cross, and there was a brook flowing, and there were fishes, and the fishes were so happy as if they are playing with each other. So I was kind of felt a lot of harmony in that place. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but if you haven't visited that place, do go. Well, the first question: which of the following is correct? Wow, that's such a nice statement. That's C, of course. The entire passage talks about that only. If you want to act morally, you don't need a belief, in any myth or story. Exactly. Second, which of the following is an incorrect statement? 19, if you mark the 18th question correct, you'll automatically mark 19th question correct. They are kind of connected to each other. What is it? It is again C. Morality always starts with having faith in God. This is incorrect. The same thing was asked in question number 18, isn't it? All right. The next one. Option D talks about morality may or may not be associated with religion. So, um, when they talk about why secularism is being talked about in the concluding sentence, because secularism all about respecting all the religions. So you might believe in it, you might not believe in it, still morality will be there. There in the entire passage there are examples through which it's been said that religion somehow it can be, it can be useful for spreading of morality, but at the same time we do not require a god to spread the morality. All these questions in some or other way are have the same kind of essence, isn't it? Do you feel that? So we'll go with D. Moreover, there's one more thing about these kind of questions. The questions are too much general. So let's say that you don't have much time left and only one passage is left and time is about to get over in last 3 minutes, you cannot do anything. So even if you read, a few lines in between and then look at the questions, you might be able to solve these questions. Do you think that? Yes or no? Isn't it? So the passage is too direct. If you read the first 2 lines, some lines in between and the last lines, you will get the answer really quick. So we need to be doing that. This passage we should just skip because there's only one question over here. We'll go on to, I would like you to go to this one. This, a parajumble. This might look difficult, but there is one thing that all the options, all the answer options are distinct in nature, the starting point. Here we have B as a starting point, here we have C, here we have A, here we have E. So even if we identify the opening statement, we are good to go, isn't it? So we can, kind of save a lot of time over here. Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll first of all, without looking at the options, I'll try to read, the sentences. First sentence says a belief is a feeling of certainty about a particular thing. It's a passive knowing. Belief has been introduced over here. Introduction of belief has been done. All right. Option statement B says all human beings are basically just belief systems. Somehow I feel that if belief is introduced and then belief systems are being talked about and they are saying that belief system is very much similar to human beings. Okay. B can follow A. After that, our perceptions of the world is rooted in our beliefs. D says, consequently, we all view the world differently. C and D form a mandatory pair, isn't it? C and D form a mandatory pair for sure. Is that right? Do you understand that? C says that our perception is rooted in our beliefs. Consequently, that is why we all view the world differently, because our beliefs are different, isn't it? So C and D form a mandatory pair. This is also one of the ways to actually solve this question. C and D. यहाँ पे DC है, A cannot be correct. Here we have C, no, cannot be correct. Here we have CD. This can be correct. Here we have, so this cannot be correct according to our assumption. I'm not yet saying that C is correct, but let us read further. E says we live our lives based on the beliefs that we have acquired through our experiences and accumulation of knowledge. Okay. F says these beliefs are our individual truths that build our subjective realities. Which beliefs? Our beliefs, isn't it? No, which beliefs? So, no, not our beliefs. Which beliefs? Which beliefs? The beliefs that we humans are. The belief systems that we humans are. So it looks like all human beings are basically just belief systems. These beliefs are our individual truths. So basically, you know what? We humans have belief in certain things, and these beliefs are our own individual truths that build our subjective realities. So B, F should follow B. इसके बीच में कोई और आ सकता है, बी एफ के बीच में, बट बी पहले आएगा, एफ बाद में आएगा. दिस इज समथिंग विच वी आर नाउ श्योर ऑफ. अगेन बी पहले आएगा, एफ पहले आएगा. यहां पे हो रहा है ऐसा, बी पहले, यहां पे नहीं हो रहा. बी इज कंफर्म्ड रॉन्ग. यहां पे ऐसा हो रहा है और यहां पे भी ऐसा हो रहा है. ऑल राइट, नाउ लेट अस ट्राई टू मेक सेंस. सी डी एंड बी एफ. Now, if we look at A and B, now there's one thing we are certain of, that C cannot be the opening statement, neither can B be the opening statement. The opening statement has to be either A or E. Is that clear? Is that clear? Either A or E should be the opening statements. So now let us try to fit it in. Okay, so if I look at option D, it says E is the first one. We live our lives based on beliefs that we have acquired through our experience and accumulation knowledge. Okay, then comes B, our perception of world is rooted in our beliefs. Okay, a belief is a feeling certainty about a particular thing. It's a passive knowing. This doesn't make sense because A is the one which is introducing the belief. If you choose other options, that means that you are going through you are starting with the humans and then going to the belief, but the entire passage is all about belief system and how we humans use it. So first of all, ideally, belief should be introduced and then humans should be introduced. And whatever the mandatory pairs we have formed, C is the most appropriate option. Now let us read this again, one after the other. A belief is a feeling of certainty about a particular thing. It's a passive knowing. Passive knowing है, मतलब हम जानते नहीं हैं. We are not very sure about it. It's just a passive knowing. Passive knowing here will, actually give you the clear idea. It's a passive knowing. All human beings are basically just belief systems. Basically just belief systems. Passive knowing है ये. F. These beliefs are our individual truths. Humans के individual truths. Again, a pair is being formed that build our subjective realities. E. हमारी रियलिटी हमारी बन गई, हम बिलीव के साथ हैं. उसके बाद हम जीते कैसे हैं? बेस्ड ऑन बिलीव्स दैट वी हैव एक्वायर्ड थ्रू एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्यूमुलेशन ऑफ नॉलेज. C. Our perceptions of world is rooted in our beliefs. Consequently, we all view the world differently. That makes perfect sense. All right. This question was actually a bit confusing because people might get confused between C and D. People have marked A. C will come before D. C and D are mandatory paired. That is why A can never be correct. A can never be correct. Vaibhav, you earned your Saturday beer. दोनों भैया सही हो गए. Don't tell me your dad gives you this reward. If you do both the pages correct, then I'll give you a beer. No? That is why C is the answer. Cool. Okay, so this is where I would like to end this session. And I hope that this kind of helped you just to, you could have done it all alone also, I know it. Just that an expert opinion, an expert, I would say, perception modus operandi is something which you know in these classes. Apart from that, when someone sits with you for solving an entire paper, then you feel more comfortable and you get most of it. That is something which I have seen. That is why classes are important. In the next session, I'll be taking the arithmetic one. That will be on Monday. And on Tuesday, I'll be taking your logical reasoning and data interpretation session. All right, so let's meet on Monday for arithmetic. Mathematics is something which everyone feels they do not know, and then will be LRDI. So I know that a lot of people have kind of screwed their LRDI scores, but this time, let everybody be the topper. So let's meet on Monday. Bye-bye, take care, enjoy the weekend. Naveen, yes, we'll be doing that, live mock. Vaibhav, I have made a lot of PDFs. One is something which I shared also. One of my books I shared on the group. Apart from that, I'll be sharing some PDFs on Monday. All right. Yeah, Anurag. Bye bye, everyone. Yes, Shivam, DI for that will be doing. Thanks, everyone, and welcome, everyone. Bye. Yeah, I'll do that, Harsha.